I've done it. I've officially switched from Sony to Lumix, and in this video I'm going to walk you through exactly why. The good, the bad, and some of the stuff I didn't even expect to like. Stick around until the end because I'll also give you a little teaser of something you lot have been asking me about. My ChatGPT scripting template, which is coming very soon. Let's start with the main reason I switched, and that is OpenGate. Every project I do, whether it's for paid clients or for my own content, almost always needs horizontal, vertical, and square formats. Every brand now wants multiple exports for every social media platform. And if you don't plan for that in camera, you're either cropping aggressively or shooting the same shot twice. And on high pressure shoots where time is tight, doing double takes just is not an option. The final straw was spending hours in post keyframing camera movements just to make horizontal shots work in vertical. Technically, you can now do that with AI, but it's never perfect. It got to the point where I was so fed up with it that I didn't want to wait for a delivery, so I went to my local shop and bought the Lumix S1 II. I literally had 3 days to learn the camera before my commercial shoot. Now, this is something I didn't expect to care about as much as I do, but the colors on this camera just work. The FX3 looked great, but the skin tones always needed tweaking. And sometimes I'd look at the monitor or even airdrop a clip to my phone and I'd look like an Oompa Loompa. And I'm an average colorist at best, but I never had these issues on Red, Canon or Lumix cameras. On my very first shoot with the Lumix S1 II, I literally slapped on the same LUT I'd been using on Sony, and the crew were commenting on just how good the colors looked. Straight out camera, no wrestling with hues, no weird shifts, it just looked natural. And now with Log, I can get clean, popping colors with very little effort. I've generally had moments where I'm pulling up footage on Premiere and thinking, do I even need that Blackmagic 12K that I've pre-ordered? Maybe. And that's the thing, Lumix still feels like this indie underground brand. It's not everywhere, it's not what every other film on Instagram is using, so my footage isn't gonna look like everyone else's. That's my opinion. So I've been asked a lot whether I recommend switching to Lumix from Sony, specifically the S1 II. So before switching, I was running two Sony bodies, the FX3 for video, the A7C II for photos. The FX3's 12 megapixel stills just aren't enough for me for professional use, so I had no choice. But with the S1 II, one camera, I can flick between videos and stills. It shoots OpenGate, internal RAW, high-res photos, and it costs less than my FX3. I sold both my Sony bodies plus a few lenses and walked away with a smaller, lighter kit bag and made about 3 grand in the process. If you're shooting a lot of content that needs to be delivered in multiple formats, horizontal, vertical, square, this is hands down one of the best tools I've used for that. OpenGate alone has saved me hours in post-production, but it's not for everyone. If you rely heavily on Sony's autofocus for things like weddings or unpredictable events, this might feel like a bit of a step down. And if you don't care about multi-format delivery, then you're probably not going to see the same value that I do. The tap to track focus on the FX3 was way better. On the FX3, you literally just tap on your screen and something's tracked. On the Lumix, there are so many more steps just to get to that. Like, it's not constantly active. That is one thing I really, really liked about the FX3. Also, way more E-mount options than there are L-mount options. So that's a massive thing to consider. I feel like every brand that is releasing a new lens, it's E-mount first. Like, that's at the forefront of their mind. It's gonna get Sigma, Tamron, Samyang, Blazer, or whatever's coming out, it will be on E-mount. I've also had it overheat on me once. That was me filming 6K OpenGate for one of these YouTube videos. I'm actually filming in it now. That is in my insanely hot shed in summer. It is incredibly hot in here, so I don't know how much of a problem that will be. I haven't had it happen on a client shoot yet, luckily. I did actually have the FX3 overheat and my Red overheat in a similar place, so I hope it's just that. And I've also since turned up the fan to its highest. Would I go back to Sony? If Sony suddenly dropped a camera tomorrow with open gate, internal RAW, and all the S1 II features, I'd still probably stay with Lumix, purely because I think it would cost 3 times the amount that the S1 II does. They're still selling the FX3 like hotcakes for around 4K, and add all these features and you're looking at FX6 or higher territory. I just don't see how Sony could bring out a camera with those specs without shutting out their whole range and making the camera way too expensive. So no, I won't be going back to Sony anytime soon. But I seem to switch cameras every few months, so who knows. A bunch of you have been asking for the ChatGPT template I mentioned in my last video. It's basically a pre-production shortcut I've built over the last 3 years, where you just drop in your project details using a questionnaire I provide, run my custom prompts, and ChatGPT will generate endless scripts and shot lists for you in seconds. It's the exact system I use to plan all of my commercials for my clients and even my Instagram reels. And it's coming very soon. I'll walk you through that in my next video, so subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll be the first to know when it drops. And I will see you in the next one.